Hi, I'm Swedish Egil, and I'm here with John Sutton. He travels the globe searching for unique foods that have been shared by generations of families, culture, and tradition. And he will connect you to the stores behind well-sourced food and the people and places who make it happen. Welcome to Truth in Food. And this is part 2 about your travels around the globe and the world. And I wanted you to tell me about one of my favorite cities, Amsterdam, Holland.
Oh boy, Amsterdam is rocking and rolling. I'm amazed by the entrepreneurism going on there. People with their ideas. One of the main reason I went there is to look at the distillery, which to me has the finest genever and gin in the world. It's a distillery in Amsterdam. What makes it so unique is that they are 100% carbon neutral. Not only that, they go out and get the local rye and the local wheat to distill their products. And what's so interesting about gin is it used to be genever. Amsterdam used to make genever and sold it all over the world. And the British grabbed the genever, and really what is genever? It's a cross between, think of whiskey and gin, so that mixture. But when Britain tried to duplicate the genever, they couldn't, so they ended up making gin. Now you see genever is coming back, and how do the Dutch drink it? They fill it up to the top of a glass, of a shot glass, very, very top. They use one really with a longer stem and kind of a tulip-styled glass.
Right.
But it's filled as high up to where if you touch it, it will spill. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to get a beer with it. We would call it a sidecar. Mm-hmm. And then you don't even pick it up. You go down and you sip up the top, and then drink your beer, and then drink both at the same time.
Okay.
And that's genever.
Okay.
And it's coming to the U.S. This distillery has this copper still that what copper does is it actually interacts with the alcohol and takes out the ethers and the cognitures. Copper has a very unique interaction. Most don't have a copper still. It's very expensive. You would use something else. Also, they make their own raw spirit that they blend into making their gin and making their genever, which is extremely unique. Most people, like you get a Tito's vodka or you get a rum or anything else, that's just bought from Cargill. They get a huge, massive train tanker, and that thing's filled with 100 proof alcohol, and that's other companies blend it and everything else. Not the distillery in Amsterdam. This is such a bespoke, natural alcohol that there's nothing like it in the world.
Okay, sounds very interesting.
And the other unique thing is I went to what's called the Conscious Hotel. And a couple of bankers decided, you know what, let's practice what we preach. So they invested in a series of hotels there called the Conscious Hotel and the Conscious Cafe. And every single thing in there, the sheets, the fact that it's carbon neutral, so all their electricity comes from wind power, their recycling of their water, all the products that's sold in there have all natural, have all social responsibility, and all renewable attributes to every single thing that's in that hotel. It's so remarkable.
And how many of those hotels are in Amsterdam?
I believe there's 3 now, and they're looking to New York. And to me, this is an example of purchasing with a purpose. This is going in and really practicing what you preach. And so when you look on the wall, and I looked up on all the heavily curated items they had, from the sourcing of their beef and their poultry and their milk, no hormones, who are the people, just at an extreme level of social responsibility and doing good for the the planet and ourselves as well. Nothing political about it. It's just, it is what it is. It's doing the right, good thing. You see all the alcohols up there, and I didn't recognize one, because most of the alcohols around the world are from these massive companies that are polluting the environment.
Right.
And so to see the distilleries up there and all these other ones I hadn't seen was just such an eye-opener for me. I learned a lot.
Are they popular? Is it difficult to get a reservation?
You know, when I went in there, the place was jammed. The hotel was very full. I didn't stay there. I had just really learned about that. But next time in Amsterdam, I'm going to support that concept. And you just feel good in there eating. You feel good being around those people. The place is beautiful. You're getting this incredible education on what's going on around the world and how they are making a difference. You leave there with so much hope that the world is going into a better direction.
So next time you go to ADE, that's where you're going to be staying.
Yeah, definitely. Why not?
So right next to Holland is Belgium. In Brussels, Belgium is another place that you visited.
Yeah, I was going to Brussels visiting a friend of mine called his name is Dr. Michael Lovelet, just loved around the world. This gentleman was working with Doctors Jonas Salk to solve the AIDS epidemic in Africa. He works directly with the UN. He also handled the Food for Shares program during the Saddam Hussein Gulf War. After the first Gulf War, he was responsible for getting the oil and bringing the food back in. So an incredible humanitarian gentleman. And we ate at a place called Brasserie du Passage. And what's famous there is their steak tartare, but they call it Americain. They do not say steak tartare. A Belgian would never call it steak tartare, but they would say Americain for whatever reason that is. And that steak tartare was just spectacular.
What made it so special?
The flavor.
Okay.
Just the flavor and the little added. I think Belgian butter is the best in the world. I do, because it comes from the north. The cows, it's all grass-fed. The cows are eating fresh grass that are from a salt marsh, so it's naturally salty. It's just so delicious. So to have that Belgian butter mixed in with a little chives and the steak tartare, it just mind-blowing.
Is it a big, thick steak or a thin one?
No, what steak tartare is, it's raw and it's all chopped up. So It's raw beef chopped up into a little minced tower of just goodness. You wouldn't think eating that is healthy. That's why you really don't see it here, because you can't serve that in the U.S. in some places because of the USDA. Meat has to be cooked. But they do this so well. It's so delicious. And in that Passage place is where John Newhouse founded Belgian chocolate in 1857.
Wow.
Yes, so right across the way, there was that chocolate store. Now, he was Swiss. And the reason he went over is he had this idea that medicine at the time, when people were eating it, it tasted so bad that he put chocolate over the medicine to make it more palatable to eat. Well, then people started just eating his chocolate and not the medicine, and that's when he went into the chocolate business and really founded Belgian chocolates.
A spoonful of sugar will make the medicine go down.
Actually, absolutely. And his son founded the praline, which is basically that bonbon chocolate stuffed with creamy goodness in the middle.
Right.
His son, Newhouse Jr., or his grandson, founded the praline there as well. So that was amazing. But the conversations with Dr. Lovelet are, I'm going to be joining him in Accra, Africa in September to be involved with the African Green Revolution Forum. So we just discussed logistics and things we're doing.
And what is that all about?
Well, Africa is coming into its own. I mean, Africa is the next big frontier. And so many unfortunate companies and countries have colonized it for so long, and even after they gained their independence, still the French distribution, the British all of these things were still in place that imported so many things to Africa, where now they are opening up their own ways of distribution, growing locally and not depending on things from England or France or from other parts of the world. So you're seeing this gigantic internal growth that's occurring in Africa that's so fascinating to me. So I'll be going there to look at things that we can bring out of there and bring to the U.S. and support the growth of Africa.
So stay tuned for more Truth in Food, and we'll keep you posted.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a good one.
Now, let's go to one of my favorite cities in the world. Stockholm, Sweden.
Sweden. Yes. Wow. When I was there, and this always happens to me, let's first talk about the weather. Every time I go to Stockholm, I feel like I'm on the beach in Malibu, California. The sun was out. It was hot. Everyone was sailing. People were out. It was phenomenal weather. But this is like the fourth time this has happened to me.
But what time of the year do you go?
Well, this was just 2 weeks ago, so this was in May.
Right.
And I hear that it shouldn't be that way all the time.
No,
And
I mean, Sweden really opens up in the springtime. Like it goes from, it's so dark during the wintertime from basically from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon is when you get daylight, and the rest of the time it's dark. So when the sun starts coming out, and we in late June celebrate midsummer, which is the longest day with the most amount of sunshine, people are really out. People open up to each other, become friendlier, and you can just, that spring feeling is definitely hitting Sweden. So you've been going there at the right time. Though Sweden is also incredibly beautiful in the wintertime, and if you get really up north where there's a lot of snow, the cities look like, the home of Santa Claus.
yeah, it just, to me, Stockholm is, in the summertime, from when I was there, the most beautiful city in the world.
Wow.
I just, everybody out and about. And the reason I was there is there's a company called Starflow that has the new future idea of advertising documentary film style products where you can watch kind of like a master class, but you can actually purchase the items as well. So I'm doing a pilot program with them on some of the products I have in Italy and in Slovakia. But to me, the Nordic cuisine is really, really coming on strong. I had a seafood tower that was the most delicious, freshest fish I think I've ever had. Just the cracked crab, the salmon roe, everything about that was so fresh, that comes from those cold waters. It was phenomenal. And, the minimalist style, the Nordic cuisine of minimalism, but yet every single ingredient is highlighted by intense taste, flavor, and freshness. And that's coming, and I really celebrate that because that's health, and that's environmentally conscious, and everything about those dishes in Sweden were phenomenal. Also, Stockholm is experiencing a rooftop party craze. It seems like now that I went to several rooftops that have opened up, where they have opened up bars and DJs, and you could dine and have appetizers on these different roofs of buildings over Stockholm, and that just added a whole nother dimension of beauty and fun and entertainment in that city.
So many old buildings in Stockholm. It's beautiful to look if you get high up enough and you can see out over the city. So what were you drinking in Sweden?
Well, let's see. I actually was drinking a lot of wine because it was paired with a restaurant I went to called Adam and Albin. Adam Albin.
Adam or Albin?
Yes. Yes. And that restaurant, I mean, just the way that food was prepared, the technique that was used, the service and the warmth that came out of that kitchen, that's up there for me. That restaurant is way up there. The way the turbot was served, the surprise at the meal. I mean, it wasn't molecular. It was just, again, highlighting incredible ingredients simplistically on a plate that was so stylistic and so creative that I would go back.
Did they have beef tartare on the menu there too?
It didn't. It celebrated the Swedish fish.
Oh, okay.
The cuisines like that, with unique sauces, but they were really not a mixed sauce. It just like highlighted a pepper, or it highlighted a basil. I mean, they took the time to peel off and take out the juice and the flavor of a basil leaf and apply that onto your dish with a technique I've never seen anywhere before.
Amazing. Now, did you have any snaps?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. They paired it with wines, red wine. You know, there's a big wine culture in Sweden.
Sweden, yeah.
Big time. They love California wine.
It's because you have to buy the alcohol at the Systembolaget, which is the government-controlled liquor store. That's the only place that you can buy booze. So you can't go to the market really and buy booze. So Systembolaget have advertised for years, don't drink hard liquor. Drink wine or drink beer. And that's really changed the culture in Sweden, I think, a little bit. Snaps, of course, is like a shot, like you were talking about in Amsterdam. They fill it up to the top. And then the culture there is that, we sing, especially the song Helan Go. It's very popular to sing and then do the snaps.
Yeah, I love going in and out of Stockholm because the trains, the landing at the airport, getting around that city, it's just a fantastic place to be.
After he listens to the show, the King of Sweden loves you, John Sutton. Let's move on to Moscow, Russia.
Oh, Moscow. I've been going to Moscow every year since 1991. So I've seen just the high tide and the low tide of destruction over that city. And honestly, this time I was so excited to see how these food courts and these malls, these gigantic malls that are filled only with restaurants, are packed. There are bands playing. There's people dancing. There's thousands of people eating in there. Russia has heavy sanctions against it. So a lot of stuff was not being able to be brought into Russia anymore from Italy and even the United States around the world. So internally, they had to create their own beef farms, chicken farms, make their own mozzarella, find a way to grow their own vegetables, start celebrating Russia's cuisine. And you see cod from the north that I would never see before. Salmon comes from the Far East, crab legs. This mix of Russian cuisine now is heavily in their diet, and it's really unique. It's kasha, and what they do is they make kind of a risotto with their grains. So instead of using rice, they use a grain, a local grain, and boil it and make a beautiful dish out of that as well.
So when you go to the food courts, what would be the most popular food? Their Mexican food is for our Mexican food that we see everywhere, theirs is Georgian food. Okay.
So you see Georgian food everywhere. And I would say that if you had a choice between Georgian food and Mexican food, you'd be eating Georgian food.
And what is that?
Georgian food is there's like a dumpling called a hachapuri. Oh, well, no. There's the dumpling, and inside that, it's like a soup dumpling with meat. A hachapuri is this bread that is filled with cheese. It's not a pizza. Imagine like splitting open a loaf of bread and having this delicious, incredible salted cheese inside melted that you tear off and eat. It's just amazing. Plus the meats, the grilled meats, the shashliks, the sauces that they have with it. It's so delicious and inexpensive and everywhere.
Oh, okay.
You know, and the interesting thing about going to Moscow for me is I've been working on 2 projects there. One of them is bringing in sea buckthorn, which is unheard of in the United States. You see it all over Russia. And sea buckthorn is, imagine a blueberry, but it's not. It looks like one, but it's bright orange. And in that thing is packed with more nutrients, more real absorbable natural vitamin C than any other thing that exists on the planet.
Wow.
When you drink that, your health will change. You will feel so much better. And you see Russians with their beautiful skin, a lot of that comes from the sea buckthorn. You see it here in medicinally. You see it on creams, but it's not in a drinkable form. I'm bringing over the actual berry. That's the reason I was there. The other thing I'm bringing over is I bring over pine nuts now, but I'm bringing over pine nut milk because almond milk is destroying the environment. People that are drinking almond milk, I get it, I understand you want to substitute for the cows, but you're actually doing more damage because those almond trees takes gallons and gallons of water to produce one almond. So the individuals that control that in California are using enormous amount of electricity to pump the water there, which is polluting the environment by creating a carbon footprint doing it. It's a desert that all these almond trees are growing in, so you got to transport and bring massive amount of fertilizer, which then all that fertilizer runs off into the water supply, polluting, destroying and destruction across the Central Valley of California. So that's why I'm bringing in pine nut milk, because it tastes better. It's grown in Siberia where these trees grow naturally wild, and it's a little sweet with 0 added sugar. Put in your coffee. You will have a pine nut coffee for the rest of your life.
Looking forward to it, John. Thank you. Let's move back to America, to New York. What's the food like there?
You know, I just think New York is going through a lot of tumult. I mean, a lot of places are closing because they just rose the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Rents are skyrocketing there. People are very nervous in the food business. So you're seeing a lot of places without waiters opening up, you know, where you cash, you pick up your food at the window and come back and eat. I just think, you know, look, pizza and burgers are just overdone. Even though I love a piece of pizza, you know, for me, it's just about, you know, it's over with. And there's just a big pizza war going on there where the dollar slice is fighting with the $5 slice, but that $5 slice has name recognition and history to it, but it's actually a horrible piece of pizza. So there's just a big pizza kerfuffle going on all over that city for me. But I did go into Hudson Yards, which just opened up, and Milos, which is a Greek restaurant, has opened up an absolutely spectacular restaurant there. Not only the view, but I went back and looked at their supplies, and I looked at their fish, and I looked at their kitchen. And boy, was that refreshing to really see them bring in whole fish that they're cutting down themselves, whole sides of beef that they're actually butchering in there themselves and cutting down. Gosh, that's expensive, but it is so fresh and so delicious, and they're using real Greek honey. And that's $60 a glass, $60 a jar. We don't have really good honey here in the United States. People don't understand. The honeybee is not native to North America. They came over with Columbus's ships. Before that, there were no honeybees in North America whatsoever. So when people say, oh, let's have honey that's locally made on these rooftops in downtown LA or in New York, are you kidding me? I want a bee that's going around getting pollen from polluted plants in a mile and a half circular area that these bees get this stuff from. That honey's disgusting.
Right.
I want to go where it originally comes from. And Greek honey on the island of Crete is the best in the world, even documented by Roman emperors and Egyptian pharaohs.
Okay. Now, when I went to New York, it's been many years, but there were a lot of food trucks in New York. Like you could buy food easily on the streets. Like you could buy, bagels and stuff like that in the morning, and you can buy all kinds of meat late at night. Is that still popular?
It's still there. In fact, I actually got up at 5:30 because I had jet lag, and I was walking on the streets, and I actually videotaped and took pictures of people pushing these food carts, all around the streets.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to them. That is one tough
way to make a living.
Way to go. But they're characters, and they're beloved, and they're part of the street culture in New York. I mean, people have their food carts that they go to, whether it's the Halal Brothers or there's Nigerian food or the hot dog stand. And you see these guys in there cooking in there all day long, making relatively good food. And I really have so much in respect and honor for them. I actually, say a little prayer for them because those make a city go. It's a tough way to go, but yet they provide such a vital service for Manhattan.
Yeah. We got one more city to go. How about Las Vegas, Nevada?
Las Vegas, that was the last city that I had to land in. To me, the surprise there are the amount of people that are selling and leaving the Los Angeles and San Francisco and moving to Las Vegas. They're selling their homes for $1 million, their businesses, they're going over there, buying their homes for $300,000, opening up their successful businesses there. So you're seeing an enormous amount of restaurants flourishing off the Strip, out in Summerlin, out at Red Rock. There's one of my top 10 coffee shops in the world is a place called Vesta Coffee. I go there every time I'm there because Jared literally goes around the world and buys beans at auction and has them shipped in those big burlap bags. You're drinking coffee, watching those burlap bags right there, and he is roasting them at his place. So you're just tasting just such a great cup of coffee. And I just love coffee. I love a good cup of coffee.
So you don't have to go to the hotels to get good food. You can get that outside of the Strip. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't eat at a hotel in Vegas for anything. It's so overpriced. The food is it's so bland. They're just buying bulk from unfortunate things. I mean, it's just way too expensive. I would go off the Strip. There's so many new unique restaurants that have opened up, really fun concepts like Nacho Daddy that are now around the city. And you get incredible food for half the price that you would on the Strip.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you very much, John. It's been another great program. Thank you very much for joining us here today on Truth in Food with John Sutton. And today's program was brought to you by The One Wine. Using green technology, The One Wine combines tradition with progress for a wide variety of wines from California. For more information, you can visit theonewine.com. That's THE1WINE.com. And for more information about this show, this program, you can visit our website, SuttonSelects.com, or follow John on social media at Sutton Selects. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.